All right. I'm trying something a little bit different today. I am using a little bit of music in the background. I figured I'd try that out because I love music. Makes me feel motivated. Um, so I'll try it out. Today I wanted to talk about finding your path. So welcome back to Motivation Wednesday. Midweek motivation. Finding your path. So oftentimes when we think about finding a path, we often think of a static goal, a static job. And I've realized that that could lead to so much disappointment, so much discouragement, because can you actually control all of the opportunities that you may or may not receive? Or can you control how much you can maximize and utilize your strengths, regardless of what's put in front of you? And the answer is no, you can't decide what options come your way. You can't decide what opportunities that you react to. All you can really do is your best. And as you're navigating through your journey, to consider, how can I make the most of this situation? You're going to get so many different ideas and options from people left and right. How do you filter through and say, this one feels more right, this one not so much? So the goal isn't to pick the perfect career, pick the perfect job. Let's first understand that perfection doesn't exist, but understand that there are things that make you feel more fulfilled than others. There are things that allow you to utilize your skills and your strengths more than others. And once you really understand that you may not have that much time, like we're mortals, life isn't that long, and nothing is guaranteed. The best thing that we can do, if we cannot control the opportunities that come in front of us, is to answer this question: how do I make the most of what I have? And how can I maximize my strengths so that I understand where I provide the most value? There have been so many entrepreneurs that I've talked to that they're really operating out of autopilot and have no idea how they got to where they are, how they're at the job that they're at, and if they even want to do that long term. And one of the things that they often talk about is, I don't know if I feel like what I'm doing matters. I'm discouraged. I want more. So we're not going to talk about perfection, but we're going to talk about how to find a path that feels a little bit better. Um, and you could even be in the same career, but understanding your personality type a little bit better can help you understand what kind of work within that career actually makes the most sense for you. For example, if you're a real estate investor, but you dread the numbers, you dread looking at the underwriting and analyzing the deals and identifying the ROI and all of this stuff. You just want to build stuff. That is a great awareness. That is a great exercise for you to really be honest with yourself. Shut out what everyone else is saying. There's really a great power in solitude. And it's a it's a thing that we now feel like a lot of us we feel that we're not comfortable being in solitude. We've been so addicted to getting affirmations from social media. We've been addicted to feeling like we are not where we should be. So we do things that sacrifice what we actually want. And that brings us back to the question of, are you maximizing your strengths within this short life that you have, that we all have? We sleep a lot of our lives. So you already cut down a major percentage of life. Now, how are we going to decide what to focus on? Um, One of the things is to ask yourself, what problems do you genuinely enjoy solving, even when you're tired? I would happily coach an entrepreneur or someone making a career transition, even when I'm tired, because guess what? That fulfills me and adds to my cup more than it drains it. And if you start the day with a certain amount of energy and bandwidth, it's important to understand the things that you do, the actions that you take throughout the day that don't drain you so much, and the things that actually make you feel more alive. And don't fantasize it either. Don't think about how, so yeah, don't fantasize it either. Think more about, I like to create art. If you like to create art and you're a real estate investor and you're trying to figure out, well, how does that even make sense? Within what you currently do, there is a way to utilize your personality type. As an artist, you may be discouraged by looking at the numbers, but you may be very motivated to make the ugliest house in the block the most beautiful thing ever. Use that. Use that as your strengths. Your goal is to maximize your strengths as much as possible. Do not blame someone else for not being able to utilize you correctly and to your fullest potential if you haven't even made the effort and taken the time to listen to yourself and take the time to observe where your energy gets drained more. And when your energy is actually, you just lose the concept of time. Pay attention to when that happens. What type of work makes you feel proud after you're done with it? No one else is going to take that time to do that for you as much as you will. So be comfortable with yourself, by yourself. Be comfortable in a place of solitude because you will need that throughout your entrepreneurial journey. You're going to lose friends. You're going to get in fights with you within your relationship. You're going to lose opportunities that get very discouraging. You're going to take risks that don't make sense, but it feels right. All of that creates a perfect recipe for loneliness. And that's why we are now in a space where community is one of the most valuable things because there's so much disconnect and there's so much loneliness within entrepreneurship that school is one of the most popular things out. And I don't mean school as in SCOOL, but SKOOL, that school. Why is that so popular right now? We went from a place of we need so much information because everyone is winning and I'm not, to now I've tried so many of these different things and I have no one in my corner because everyone else feels a little lost. And I don't know how to maximize my strengths because I'm stretched in so many different directions. That's what causes so much overwhelm. I speak with so many entrepreneurs that have so much desire to do great things. And what ends up happening is time just keeps on going, and their dreams continue to keep on getting pushed further and further down. One of those ways is we get distracted. We talked about how other people are not going to know all of the amazing strengths that you have until you start to show it so confidently that you cannot be ignored anymore. No longer will you be on the sidelines hoping that someone will give you a chance. But for you to build that confidence, you have to take some time for yourself. Be comfortable saying it's okay if they don't believe me. It's okay if I get a negative comment. That person is not for you. Keep pushing. One thing that helps with that resilience is to remind yourself of what your strengths are because other people will remind you of your weaknesses. And in the midst of that, you need something to keep you strong because the only way for you to get to a different place is to not give up when it gets hard. You you have to understand, okay, if I'm going to keep pushing forward, I need to understand what my strengths are. I remember I decided to pursue commercial real estate as an agent. And I remember understanding that I needed to make a lot of cold calls. in order to succeed like my mentors and my coaches. And I did the work. I did the work and I found myself doing it a little bit differently. I realized that I'm much better with canvassing. So my mentor, God bless him, because he was very patient with me. My mentor said, okay, you're good at that. Keep doing that. He taught me to maximize my strengths because you're in an industry where people are going to follow blueprints from other people that have different sets of skills and strengths than you do. And if you try to copy the next person, you will put yourself at a disadvantage if you don't understand how you're different and how what makes you special, what makes you a little bit unique. And one way that helped me understand that is I had a mentor that said, before we start making money, we need to understand our why. And I remember thinking to myself, "Wow, just tell me how to do this transaction. I just want the specific information, the step by step." But what does that do? That just puts me at the same exact level as someone else. Information is free in many ways. We have AI. What makes you special? You have AI now. You have information, she has information, they have information. Now what? Why are you not the success story that you want to be? Why are you not understanding which path makes the most sense for you? So it's not just about information, it's about self-awareness first. The self-awareness allows you to better understand how can you utilize the information and what questions should I ask. If you don't know what questions to ask, everything will come at you like drinking from a fire hydrant. It's just too much. Have you ever gone on ChatGPT or an AI, using AI, and you end up just asking a bunch of different questions and you still have not made the progress that you want? Am I alone here? I've done that so many times where I'm asking questions on ChatGPT and the thread just keeps going. And it's not until I really understand, well, what do I want to ask and what do I want to do? That's when it's actually beneficial. That's when it's actually useful. So when we're talking about business, the first step is what are my strengths? And then how do I maximize my strengths? So try to imagine, what do people consistently thank you for? And what do people consistently say you do a little bit better or a lot better than someone else? It's easier for you to do than for someone else to do. For example, I love coaching. Yes, it takes effort, but I imagine that with the amount of practice that I've had and the amount of skill and talent that I've developed, it comes a little bit easier to me than it does for some other people. So that means I need to double down on that. So, what is it that you can do that other people may find it a little bit more difficult to do? If you recognize that you don't have a whole bunch of time to just waste, that's where you start. Not the new thing, New things will always happen. But if you're in business and you want to actually win, you want an advantage. If you're doing it to lose, then this is not the place. I want us all to win. If you want to get into business and actually win by your definitions, then you have to understand what makes you different, what gives you an edge. And that's why I focus so much on understanding your personality type. Because if you understand the thing, the things that drive you more than others, for example, I love strategizing. I can strategize all day. So that means I need to do things that allow me to utilize that strength so that I continue to build that strength. And the more that I build that strength, the more that I feel confident because I can move through the challenges with more ease. Not that it's easy, but with more ease than if I was doing something that is not a strength of mine. So the next thing is you can't just think about what you love to do. It sounds great and all, but we're in reality. You need to get paid. So it's best when you can identify what are your strengths, what are you good at, what is something that you actually love, something that you love to do. It just lights you up. And what is something that that people are willing to pay for, something that's in demand. When you can do that, you increase your chances for continued sustainability. It's not that the journey is going to be super easy, but you want an advantage and you want to create not only resilience, but you want to create longevity. So also you have to think about how much can I actually invest into this? Because we often jump right into opportunities that feel right, but we forget how much we can fund it. I've spoken about this on a previous live where a business is like a baby, and we often put an enormous amount of pressure on something that's just a baby. We got to stop doing that because now you're applying pressure on something that you're still testing out and you're still growing and hasn't matured yet. So that's why it's important to understand what where's the money going to come from and identify options right from the beginning, even if it means income outside of the business. Don't worry about what your neighbor or your friend or your family or what anyone that's not out in the business, someone that's not in your day-to-day life, someone that's not paying your bills, don't worry about that. You need this dream to not only survive, but to thrive. And that's going to take so much pouring into. It costs. It costs certain sacrifices. It costs a lot of time. It costs a lot of money. Depending on what it is that you're looking to get into, it can cost a lot of money. So finding your path kind of starts with finding yourself in a way. Identifying what your strengths are and seeing the opportunities that can really utilize your strengths. There's so much. Oh, you can't hear anything? Hold on, let me see. Huh. Give me 1 second. Thanks for letting me know. Where is, I think, I think I see it here. Hold on, technical difficulty. Okay. Can you hear me now? Test, test, test. Can you hear me now? All right. Okay, cool. Cool. Um, Thanks for joining. We're talking about finding your path and what that actually looks like. Hey, what's going on, man? Obito 2. Um, so first of all, you have to be comfortable being your crazy self, right? And you have to be comfortable being in solitude when you're deciding to go and create a dream for yourself. Because one, it's not just going to happen, no one's going to do it for you, no one's going to provide the research that makes the most sense for you. It's really up to you because guess what? They have their own lives to worry about and their own dreams to fulfill. Oh, that's all right, man. Hop on next time. I'll be here. They have their own lives to worry about, they have their own dreams to fulfill. And don't take that personally. We really are all just trying to figure it out in some way. And your job, your goal as an entrepreneur or someone that wants to be an entrepreneur, your job is to take it as far as you can take it. Just look at it simply like that. How far can I take this thing? What do you need in order for you to take it as far as you can? One, you need to identify how you can fund this path that you're going on. Is it something that is just a hobby that's just going to eat my money? Or is it something that is going to grow? It's like a baby where you feed it, and at some point, it's going to be able to be strong and carry something, carry some pressure, carry some weight. And what you want is to be able to invest in something that grows and you continue to nurture it. So when you think about a path that makes the most sense for you, it has to be something that can maximize your strengths. not something that ignores it. So, when was the last time that you just sat with yourself and you wrote down, you did a SWOT analysis? And for those who don't know that, let's just simplify it even more, where you just talk to yourself and ask yourself, what am I strong at? What am I strong at? And what would people pay for? That could be, I know how to do plumbing because my dad used to teach me how to do plumbing work. And that's something that I'm very skilled at. If that's a strength of yours, take it as far as you can take it. You don't hate doing it, take it as far as you can take it. Work on that strength until it's a strength that cannot be ignored. Instead of going from one thing to another, to another, to another too quickly, focus more on how can I take it as far as I can take it. And then you pivot if you need to. So we talked about being able to fund the dream that you have for yourself, but you also need fuel besides the money. The, the, the money is good. It's a great thing to focus on because that's what's going to help sustain the activity that you do every day, sustain you, because you need to pay yourself in some way so that you can get up and pay for your groceries and have the energy to keep doing the thing that you're doing. But if you hate what you do, you can't stand it, how long are you going to keep doing it? Remember, we talked about take it as far as you can take it. Now, if you already hate doing it, it's not something that you're even strong at, what does that equal? It equals a short lifespan with you pursuing a goal, with you pursuing a dream. So that's why you need that within this formula. Know your strengths, know what people want, and also find a way to fund it. So, in order for you to find the fuel besides the money, you need to have something that gives you some kind of meaning. If you feel like this doesn't even matter, you're going to feel like such an imposter to yourself, where you're just doing things and you don't even believe it. How far are you going to take that? You don't even believe what you're saying. It doesn't even matter. So that already throws that dream out the window. The other thing is, so you can keep going and keep pushing at your dream, is you need to see progress. You need to show yourself, you're convincing yourself that you are this person. You're convincing yourself that you can do it by showing progress. The next thing is you need to have an identity that you desire so that you can actually say, this is who I'm becoming versus that. If you don't have that differentiation, everyone's going to be confused. What is your identity? So I had to continue to tell myself, I am a business coach. This is who I'm becoming so that I could become it. If you don't do that, you just want to succeed by accident. I'm not playing a lottery here. Business should not feel like a lottery where you just happen to succeed. You just happen to land on some success. I would rather intentionally reach the goals that I've set instead of it just happened. Because how can you repeat it now? You don't know. Because the first time it just kind of happened. And what usually happens when someone wins the lottery anyway? Not with everyone, but the typical story: they win big and they lose fast. They win big and it doesn't last. And what we talked about in the beginning is take it as far as you can take it. How do you protect that dream? You protect that dream by keeping a good funding source for it and understanding the things that drive you so you can keep feeding that sense of fulfillment, having some sort of meaning, creating evidence of your progress, understanding the identity that you even want. The other thing is to have a community that understands you, people who normalize the struggle and also keep you accountable. The next thing is, what does success even look like? If you don't know, will you get there? No, because you're not going to succeed on purpose and get to where you want to go on purpose if you're just on autopilot and just hoping. So we talked about utilizing your personality type and why that's even important. So one of my personality types within the Entremotive personality quiz is visionary. And I have to be very honest with myself about what that meant. It meant that I like to impress myself. I like to feel impressive to others. And that satisfies my ego. So I rinse and repeat. So when I create tasks for the day that I need to accomplish for business, one thing that I keep in mind is how can I do something impressive? Why? Because I'm driven by that. I feel it wakes up my competitive nature. You want that. Business is a competition. You're competing to be a better version of yourself and to make as much progress as you can so you can take it as far as you can take it. Got it? So we're going to we're going to leave it here for now. I'd like to ask, what is holding you back right now in business? What is holding you back? And okay, fear of making mistakes and losing money. That's a good one because that's really a lot of our fears. And I want you to have comfort in knowing that you are not alone. The people that you think or that you see are super successful also have fear of making mistakes and also have fear of losing money. But they still take action and they utilize that fear. Think about how the fear provides information. It gives you insight to let you know this is not a guaranteed thing, and there is a challenge here. A challenge is not a bad thing. You can take that challenge, but use the information because the fear is telling you, hold up, before you go that way, you need to think about this. What is the this that that fear is telling you to figure out? Because if you don't figure out that piece of information, that challenge, then you're going to get stuck and feel paralyzed because you're not utilizing that information. Your brain is a feedback system and is designed to protect you. So when you have the fear, thank your brain because it's keeping you protected. It's keeping you alive. But now you need to use that information and say, am I afraid of making mistakes because I don't know the information? I feel like I'm incompetent? Then that's an identity thing. So to to get through the identity issue, the fear of being someone different, one way to do that is to be around other people who are already that and people who feel like you're actually not doing enough. Like when I did not have a rental property, I immersed myself in watching so much HGTV shows and just going to networking events with investors just so that I can not be the crazy one in the group. That helps with that fear. Who is already doing it and is not fearful of it? Get around them so that that can rub off on you. It's a cheat code. Someone's already doing it better than you. Someone's already doing the thing that you want to do. Get close to them to help reduce the fear because they figured something out. Does that make sense? The fear allows you to gain information, or it can make you crumble if you don't use the information. For example, I have fear sometimes of going live, and yet here I am. It's not because I don't have the fear, it's that the fear is telling me, make sure you're prepared. Because if you're not prepared, that can be bad. My brain is protecting me. So I can ignore it and let it consume me. And then I don't go live and I don't do the thing that I wanted to do. Or I can say, the reason why I'm fearful is because, and drill down on that information. It's because I don't want to go looking stupid. I don't want to get on here and just make a fool of myself. So, how can I create some sort of reduction in that risk? How can I reduce that risk, even if it's just a little bit? And then I just push through and do it anyway. So, that can mean, oh, I'm going to make sure that my setup is a little bit easier. I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that. Um, or I can also look at it like I'm fearful of going live, but I'm going to gather my thoughts before getting on instead of just freestyling without any sort of structure or guidance. So, in that scenario, the fear is actually helpful. The fear is not your enemy, it is an ally that gives you information. Does that make sense? Have you been able to use the fear, or have you been letting it consume you? Have you been letting it paralyze you? What is the fear telling you? Because I know what it tells me sometimes. But depending on the situation that you're going through, what is the fear telling you? I've been letting it consume me, but I need to just take the leap. So, one thing that one of the things that can help with that is first to understand, and it's going to sound raw and possibly just, it might wake you up a little bit, but life is short. What is the worst that could happen? Right? What is the worst thing that can happen? And if it's really not that bad, forget that fear. If it's really not that bad, play with it, have fun with it. Go ahead and mess up and fail. Life is short anyway, and you really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow anyway. There's been times where I try to scrounge and save as much money as I can, and then what happens? There's a big snowstorm, and we got to pay hundreds of dollars to get snow. I'm just like, I didn't even want this. This is terrible. I might as well have spent that money on myself. And that's why one of the lessons in the book, I don't know if anyone if you read it, Rich Dad Poor Dad, is pay yourself first, because you're going to resent all of the sacrifices that you may have made, that you were forced to make. So might as well take care of yourself and do something that makes you happy in some way, or pours into you, because guaranteed someone's going to take your money. So when you talk about how one of the fears that you have is losing money, well, guess what? You're going to lose money anyway. You're going to lose money anyway. So if you're going to lose money anyway in some way, might as well take a calculated risk that you feel that you feel good about, because time is going to continue to run out. I didn't think about it this way until I realized that I'm really not that special. And we're such fragile beings. When I went to the hospital with almost 1,000 as my blood sugar level, my blood sugar reading, I realized I'm not that special, man. The things that happen to them, it can happen to me. We always think that things can't happen to us sometimes, but sometimes we need to be reminded that there's only so much that we can control. And once you recognize that, you can really enjoy and enjoy life more, and take the risks that make you feel like the things that you do matter. Don't let another year go by and you let the fear consume you. There are people that are waiting to lift you up. They just don't know that you have these dreams. There are people that are waiting to use you and use your strengths, and you're afraid to show the strengths. So if it helps, look at it like, who is ready for me to help them? Look at it like that. I used to do a lot of like talent shows um back in back in my college days. And I remember always feeling a knot in my stomach right before I performed. But I wanted to do it. Even though I wanted to do it, I was still super nervous because that's when you start, when you're at, when the opportunity is right in front of you, that's when the doubt usually creeps in. And you just have to remember that you want this and you want the most out of life. And once you remind yourself of that, and that people aren't just going to hand you a better life, hand you an opportunity that you didn't claim, that you didn't say that you want, that's when you can overcome and just do it. Just do it. I would just put one foot in front of the other, put my name on the list, and then they'll call me. Once they call me, man, my heart starts pumping and I start, the doubt creeps in. But you just have to put one foot in front of the other. And it helps when you can find someone else to be there with you. And for me, that was often my brother. We would do the talent shows together. Now, we were not the kind of singers that would go on American Idol, you know? But do we all really need to be a Jeff Bezos? Do we all need to be at the level of a Elon Musk in terms of wealth, in terms of intelligence, in terms of business acumen? Like, do we all really need to be the 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 unicorns, or can we actually be satisfied and happy somewhere in the middle? What is what does that look like for in if you can be satisfied with not having unicorn success and identifying something that you'd be willing to continue to provide and feel fulfilled doing it, who you've won. Don't overcomplicate it. It's not about someone else's rich, amazing life. It's about yours. Yours is the one that matters, the one that you've dreamed of. If that means that you are making less than what some of these influencers are claiming to make, and you're happy with it, don't let anyone steal your joy. Do that. I think we often get into the fear because we compare our path with someone else's path, and then we look at the gap and we say, there's no way I can catch up. Not only can't you, not only will you not catch up, oftentimes, you will never be someone else. You can only be yourself, even if that means you're a little bit more like someone that you aspire to be. That's a good thing. But you will never be able to completely copy someone else exactly. And guess what? There's a big chance that you don't even want the life of the person that you think is just so perfect. We all have different strengths. That's going to determine the path that makes the most sense for you. All right? So this is telling me that it's not seeing any activity. I'm not sure why. Anyway, this was a good discussion. I hope that you all were able to. Oh, money. Sorry, I'm looking. Let me look at the comments here. Money comes and goes. It needs to flow like the river. Oh man, yeah, that's a great point. Money comes and goes. It needs to flow like the river. We often hang on to it as much as possible, not realizing that you need to give to get. That's why people say pay um pay to be in the room. So you got to pay for access. You have to pay to invest into yourself because money should not be just held on tightly. It is a tool to help you flow. You have to give to continue to get. And when we started this year, I did a workshop and we talked about how we need to identify who we want to serve. What value do you want to provide to someone? And notice I didn't say, what value do you want to provide to yourself? You have to have an exchange. If you're a contractor, you're providing value by building something for a client. You're providing value to them. If you just focused on building your own house, you're not going to get paid. Who's going to pay you? You have to provide value to someone else. And guess what? You have to invest. Lumber costs, tools cost, your dreams cost. All right. So I hope it was nice hanging out with y'all. I hope that you enjoyed this talk. And I want to encourage you to create your own path. You can take inspiration from other people, you can take insight from other people, but never let go of the responsibility of pushing your dreams as far as you can take it. Taking your dreams as far as you can take it. That is your job. Take it as far as you can take it. I want you to go to sleep thinking about that. How can I make sure that I can keep going and take this dream as far as I can take it? What do you need? And if I can be of support, please feel free to reach out, send me a DM, and we can talk. Take your dreams as far as you can take it. Have a good night, everyone.